Uh, Good evening. Tonight is Monday, June 15th, 2020, and it's 6:30 p.m. And it's the Park and Recreation Committee meeting of Victoria. A little bit of a housekeeping before we begin. One is that through the COVID-19 pandemic, this is a virtual meeting. Normally, we have been meeting at the Victoria City Hall. Members of the public can continue to watch the meeting live online at Victoria Web or on MediaCom Channel 8. And you can provide comment if you would so choose to, there's an online form to fill out to Ann Minke, our Park and Recreation Director, and also to Ann at her email address or phone number, which are listed on the top of the agenda. And we want to thank you for your patience as we kind of continue with this sort of a virtual approach to our meeting this evening. So thank you for your patience. With that, we're going to begin, and we'll do the call to order. And we will begin with the roll call. And go ahead and just state your name, and if you would make sure your mute is off and indicate you're present. Judy Iverson.
Judy Iverson, present.
Amber Hutner.
Amber Hutner, present.
Claudio Groppetti.
Claudio Groppetti, present.
Jeanette June.
Jeanette June, present.
Mary Larson.
Mary Larson, present.
And Larry Schultz.
Larry Schultz, present.
And John Carlson, present. And Mayor Funk, thank you for joining us this evening as our council liaison.
My pleasure, thank you.
And Ann Minke is with us as well, our Park and Recreation Director. The next item will be the approval of the minutes from our prior meeting, which was on May 18th, 2020. Are there any comments or questions on the minutes? If not, I would need a motion to approve.
Jeanette June moves to approve the meeting minutes of May 18th.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Judy Iverson will second.
Thank you, Judy. Is there any one that wants to comment on anything? All right, with that, I'm going to ask if there's anyone that would say, Ann, is it all right if I shorten this and just say anyone that wants to object to the minutes and have everybody do it by acclamation?
I think that would be acceptable.
Okay, great. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Is there anyone saying nay? Hearing none. Are there any abstentions? Hearing none. With that, the minutes are approved from the May 18th meeting. The next item is petitions, proclamations, suggestions, or complaints from citizens, committee members, or staff. Are there any items that any of you would like to bring or share, including you, Ann?
I have nothing at this point.
All right. Anyone else? Going once and twice. All right. With that, we're going to be move forward with the review of the open meeting law. And Ann, if you want to go ahead and take it, run with it.
Sure. Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. So annually, all of the citizen committees and council and any public body within the city, we annually review the open meeting law and also the Minnesota Data Practices Act. Just as a reminder, I know all of you have been through this, but I just wanted to give a little bit of information about the open meeting law. So the open meeting law requires bodies, public bodies, to be open to the public, and a public body is defined by a state or local public body, which the Park and Recreation Committee is one. Public meetings, what basically the law says is that yes, you will be open to everyone that wants to attend and or participate. So when a public body in an open meeting law, when it applies is when there's an actual quorum of a body. So tonight we obviously have a quorum, and the purpose of the meeting, the open meeting law, really basically is to prohibit public bodies from holding secret meetings. It allows the public to be informed, and it also allows the public to present its views. So it does not speak, as the slide says, it doesn't speak to administrative things such as agendas, meeting minutes, or Robert's Rules of Order. But we have defined those for you, so as a city. So does anybody have any questions related to the open meeting law? I did provide some information as well in your packet that gives a pretty good rundown of that information.
And this is Claudio. I have one question. So if we were to, if you and I were to discuss a topic, or John and I, or myself and a council member talked about a matter that is relevant to the Parks and Rec Board, is that allowable or is that prohibited?
That is totally allowable, because you as a single person, and even John as a single person within, you would not have a quorum. So you could not make meeting decisions or recommendations to the council, just the two of you. So it implies that you need a full quorum to discuss that. It's always best to do it out in public or within the meeting or public body, but certainly there's times when you're going to run into each other and talk about a park or talk about a program. So, but that is not against the rules.
Thank you.
My understanding on it is particularly is if you don't want to, I guess, call it a chain of communications whereby you, get agreement on an action, outside of the meeting, before a meeting. And that really kind of circumvents the spirit and the reality of it. So that extreme should never, ever happen. But I think my way of looking at it is if Claudio, if you and I want to touch base on something, we have every right to do it, and we're not violating the open meeting law at all.
Right.
The one thing about this as well that's good to point out is that it's surprising how many people do not either submit information or requests or suggestions or ideas to Ann Menke as our public works staff, or that want to attend our meetings or submit comments for us in writing. So as it relates to the public, that's always valuable. And I think we would all welcome input from the public. Doesn't mean that action can be taken, but it's great to get that pulse, and it can be very, very helpful in the course of doing business.
Yes, and one other thing that I always like to note too is that when I send the whole group an email, reminding them of an upcoming meeting or, programs or special events, it's always best to not just to reply to me and not reply to the whole body, because that technically could also be a quorum per se, because you're all communicating as one within that email. So that's why I always recommend just reply to me on any email, and then I will get that information out if it pertains to the whole committee. So.
Reminder, Ann. You want to keep moving unless there's other comments or questions?
I just wanted to say thanks for that clarification, Anne, because I always am a non-reply all person, but I just didn't realize it in context with a group like this, the ramifications of not doing it that way. So that's great. Thanks.
You're very welcome. So the other item that I want to talk about is the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act. So this basically presumes that any and all data related to the government is public information. The state and federal and local governments, they really need to specifically classify data for the government to limit access. So just an example, like somebody's personnel file or medical records would be access that would not be public data. It would be classified as confidential or protected and non-public data, but the rest of it, remains all public data. So like all of the information that I share with you in a PowerPoint, agenda statements, those type of things are all public data. And governments or anybody has a right to request information from a government related to any data that belongs to the city. And the government is responsible to respond to that data request in a responsive manner, and generally the limit is 10 business days on that. So why did the act become one? Because the government needs to have data to do its work. So the Minnesota state statute says we need to balance the ability of the government to do its work while maintaining accountability and transparency. And then third, the need to protect individuals' privacies and rights associated with that. So again, information that you participate in is also public data. So just a quick reminder on that as well. So any questions on that?
Hearing none, Ann, I think we can go ahead and keep moving. The next item is also under old business, and it's park and recreation projects and programs update from you, Ann. And maybe Ann, as we go through each one, just briefly stop and see if there's any comments or questions.
Absolutely. Yes, I really just have some information related to all of these items, and if people have any other questions about any programs or projects, I'm happy to answer them as we move forward. So first I want to start with Wasserman Park Reserve. Wasserman construction is still continuing on site. The entry road and the parking lot have been graded, and they've got the rock gravel base down as of last week, and they're doing a lot of grading on site to create the hill, the mound as we call it. There's also, I would anticipate that this week that they will start installing or putting in the footings for the building, and then also running water lines to the shelter itself. So we are meeting generally weekly on site with the contractor, and things are moving along. So far, the weather has been fairly cooperative with the park construction, but they are on target and remain so. So we are continuing also to work through the final signage and finalizing the design and layout on that. We just had a meeting last week to talk about that. So that is my update on Wasserman. So happy to answer any questions if anybody has any on that one.
I had one, this is Claudio, and are we still on track? Is completion still the end of the year, excuse me?
Yes, we are anticipating that it will be on schedule, and unless we run into really bad weather, we should be on target for later this fall, early winter. Hearing nobody else with questions related to Wasserman, I'll move on to the Lions Park parking lot. This is an item that you have seen several times. It is actually out to bid right now, and we have the bid opening scheduled for tomorrow morning. And as you'll recall, the project budget is approximately $370,000. So depending upon how the bids come in tomorrow, this will go right to the council on Monday, next Monday, a week from now. So with that, we're also looking at beginning that project in July with a substantial completion by September. So that one continues to move along as well.
I think we've got, I think we're good, Dan. Ann, are you there? Ann?
It looks like Ann's audio was cut off somewhere. We may have to wait temporarily.
Okay. Everybody just hang in there. I know we've got silence. Can the other members of the committee, are you all on? Can you hear?
Yep, I'm here, Amber.
I can hear you, John. This is
Okay, great.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Reassuring. Good.
Well, I hope she didn't have a power outage.
I think we'll be okay. Thinking optimistically here. Alyssa, this is when I think we play that soothing music.
Jeez, I lost you guys. Sincerely apologize for that one.
Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry, technology sometimes is challenging. So I think that I was on the Lions Park parking lot. So if anybody had any questions about that.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So next we'll move on to the Victoria Recreation Center. We actually opened up the Recreation Center today with limited capacity and reduced hours. We are open 7 days a week still, but closing a little bit earlier during the week and also on weekends. We have established the reopening plan that would allow a capacity of 15 people in the fitness center, 12 in the gym, and 10 on the walking track. And that is on an hourly basis. So we have, we're allowing people or recommending that people register for times when they want to be in the facility. And we have a program that allows people to sign up and we can track. So actually today we had about nearly 140 reservations come through the building today for fitness classes and use of the gym, generally speaking. Our fitness classes, we're going to continue to offer a combination of online virtually as well as in-person outdoor fitness classes. And then in the event of rain, we are holding the gym to allow a larger number of people to come inside during that time. The school district opened up the hockey rink, very limited last week. So they're allowing 9 kids per side of ice, so a total of 18 kids max in the ice arena, also generally on an hourly basis. So we are, you know, this is brand new for us. We've not had to manage through a pandemic. So we are going to continue to monitor this and get good feedback from hopefully our members that have now begun to use the facility. Just from a membership perspective, we are going to start activating members that do come into the facility and start using the program, and then plan to activate all members at the end of July, unless something happens that we end up going backwards. So that would give those people time to come back, ease back in, and also allow for some time when we closed in the middle of March. So that's kind of where we're at with that piece, and I'm certainly happy to take any questions on that as well.
Are there questions that any of you may have?
So, Ann, this is Claudio. So you're going to reactivate everybody. Did you say July 1st or end of July? Or did you give a?
Yeah, so we will begin activating people at the end of July, taking effect in August.
Thank you.
Yep.
And this is Amber Hutner. Just a point for correction. On your agenda sheet, you list that you're opening July 15th. I'm pretty sure you meant to type in there June 15th. So just for clarification.
Yep, that is correct. Thank you for
All right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said there were 140 came through today, that's not 140 who used the facility today. That's 140 people who I'm trying to clarify. 140 is online reservations that could be for any time period into the future?
No, that was actually today.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Yeah. Yes. So we opened we're today, for example, through the Monday through Thursday, we're open from 5 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. So yeah, people are allowed to sign up in 1 hour increments, and we could have had somebody sign up for a 9 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. So it could be multiple people. I know we had a few of those in today. And we had a large family, I know, that came in to use the gym today. So we did have, I think there were probably maybe three time slots that actually filled up to the 15 in the fitness center. But we were averaging, like early morning and late morning times were our busiest. So we're having that 12 to 15 people in at one time. So, and then again this evening we had, that 5 and 6 o'clock time frame is also a busy one. So, yeah, 140 today.
What's the census typically back in the good old days?
I would say anywhere from probably in that 250 range. So considering the circumstances, I guess I don't view that as too bad.
No, it's excellent. Pent up demand.
Well, actually, with the self-imposed limitations on numbers, how much could you even do more than for 140 at this point? Just ballparking it.
That would require me to pull out my calculator, I think.
No, that's okay. I guess my only point would be that, we are setting some limits. So
yeah,
I would assume there's no way we would, based on the current self-imposed limits, that we'd be able to hit that other 250.
Yeah. So just real quick math. So we could get in, if every time slot filled up, just in the fitness center, we would be at about 240 people. So.
Okay.
This is Amber Hutner. I think that's actually really good to do that math, and because if people are going to complain about them not getting into the facility or anything, you can say we have the capacity to do that, and it's your choice not to come back. I mean, I know I'm not going to come back for a while. That's my choice.
Yeah. Yeah, we did look at all of the numbers with the capacity for the fitness center, the walking track, and the gym. And based on that, we were pretty confident that we would be able to accommodate nearly everyone. Granted, some people can't come at 5 in the morning or don't want to come at 5 in the morning. So it's, we wanted to make sure that we could accommodate those people.
And this is Mary. I'm wondering if you know how long you'll wait before you allow personal trainers in the.
We've been talking about that internally, and we really wanted to see how this was going to go, and if the directive in the future was to allow a greater capacity in. So we were looking at this at least through about mid-June before we were gonna try to add more things in. And ideally we just wanted to get members back in and give them an opportunity to see how things went. So we're probably looking at making that decision based on future guidance from the governor, and also requests from members on that. We have had quite a few, so.
And this is Amber Hutner. Our members, okay, there's 140 people coming in, and there's no locker rooms available. There's just that one downstairs bathroom, and I'm not sure where else, I forget. But what are people doing with their things? Is there a designated area in front there by the fitness center to drop them off? Or I guess it's summer, we don't have as much to drag in, but just curious.
Yeah, correct. So we have requested that people come with their workout clothes on, and then any other personal items to put those in a bag and then take it with them when they leave. And we haven't had a problem because it is so nice out. So winter certainly could change that.
Right. Yeah, we might have to consider some kind of a, I don't know, a locker area or shelves or something more than what's there.
Yeah, we really tried right now anyway to really minimize or limit the amount of high touch areas. And so we pulled a lot of things out of the facility just to eliminate that for right now. So.
And this is John. Did we, are all of the machines and equipment in place? And then people are on kind of an honor system to have space between them, or can you create a picture for me on that for us?
Sure. What we have done, we decided to leave everything open right now, and have asked members to leave at least one machine distance between them and another person. And based on what we saw today, most everybody really was doing that. You know, we had a couple kids that, you know, one was spotting for another on you know, the weights, but overall, I think people really respected other people's spaces. So it was something we wanted to try and not take out machines if we didn't have to.
And in the materials, it mentions masks a couple times. Masks are encouraged, but they're not required. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have our staff, we have placed a sneeze guard up around the front desk area, but I've asked staff that when they come into the building and exit the building that they wear a mask, but when they're behind the sneeze guard, they do not have to. And in areas, so if they go up to the fitness center, they wear one. So if they're not able to keep a 6 feet of social distancing between them and any member, we've asked them to wear them. Our members, we have recommended that they wear one into and out of the facility, but it is not mandatory. So we had a mix today of people that wore them and some that did not. And, you know, working out is a challenging thing to have with a mask on. So,
right.
Yeah, so we have increased our cleaning. So we're just trying the best we can to keep everybody safe. So.
One other question, Ann, and that is, let's say I'm on the leg press, just to pick any item you want. Are people being told that they should really clean ahead of time whatever equipment they're going to use before and after they use it? Because the rec center staff is not cleaning that equipment between when people come in, and maybe not even each day. I don't know.
Yeah.
How would you respond to that?
We are certainly encouraging people to do that. We did, within your packet, we put together a member, staff, and guest code of conduct, and we handed those out, and we'll continue to do so as people come in. And yes, it talks about making sure that you clean the equipment before and after, or ask people to do so. We have placed signage and extra cleaning materials up in the fitness center. So we're hopeful that people will continue to do that. So.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments or feedback for Ann? I mean, I think to have that kind of response on the first day means that there's people value the recreation center and the value it provides, and they want to use it and have some level of comfort with the measures in place.
This
Hey,
is,
John?
This is Jeanette June. I was just going to say, Ann, it sounds like you really did a lot of thorough planning, and then it went pretty smooth for the first time. So, and I'm glad to see so many people eager to get back and use the rec center. I myself won't be back for a while, but I can always exercise outside in the meantime. But thanks for all your hard work in getting this up and running.
Yeah, we were a bit surprised last Friday when the governor kind of pushed out his new phasing plan, and we were allowed to use it. But yeah, we had spent a lot of time, thoughtfully trying to plan and make sure that we could keep our staff and also our members as safe as we could. So. And, there will be some personal responsibility that people are going to have to take, when exposed to this environment, because it's, it's indoors, in a confined space. And so, yeah, we're hopeful and looking forward to what the future holds here.
I think there was someone else who was wanted to speak.
Yeah, John, this is Tom Funk. Hey, Ann, I got a couple of questions about Poppets Field. I'm not sure if you're getting many questions. Could you just take 30 seconds and kind of give everybody update on Poppets Field and what you're seeing or what the interest is there?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to do that. So under the governor's order right now, which it started at 9 people or less were allowed to participate in non-contact or social distancing skills, and I know that increased this last week. There are still no games allowed, so we have not opened up that facility to games, only practices. And they must conform to the Department of Health and CDC guidelines for that. I know that the Minnesota, and it's kind of an umbrella that everybody went under, Minnesota baseball and softball. I know that they have submitted several different plans to the governor, and he has expanded the numbers, but has not authorized the playing of games themselves. So, we'll see where that one goes.
Thank you. That was helpful.
It definitely is an active topic. I appreciate you bringing it up because I can
Can I ask one question on rec center reopening? Just.
Oh, okay.
This,
Go ahead.
sorry for it's delayed intelligence a little bit, or maybe waking up. But you mentioned when you mentioned it, indoor confined space. Are there any thoughts being given to increasing the amount of outside air that's being brought in, just from an overall air quality perspective? I know it costs more money to air condition it, but that's another way of minimizing contaminants in the space.
Yeah, so we're working with the school district to make sure that our filters and those things are getting changed out more quickly. One of the challenges that we have with that building in particular is the ice rink component and their need to maintain a certain temperature within there. But we have also opened up doors, like going up to the fitness center and trying to keep a flow of traffic, and also into the gyms, or keep air moving a little bit better. So those are kind of the things that we have looked at right now only. Some of the air cleaners with the HEPA filters, they're really expensive. And I just fear we'd need too many of them in order to try to bring as much fresh air in as we could. So it's something we'll keep monitoring.
Great, thank you.
And one question back on Poppets Field. Has the team made a formal request to you or the city to be able to utilize it now, or?
They have not.
Okay.
We have sent out information to all our user groups for the fields that they are required to submit a plan, a stay safe plan to us. And to my knowledge, we have not gotten any of them back yet. I suspect they'll utilize this umbrella organization that is working with the governor, because there's some pretty detailed plans in there. We have gotten a few phone calls about use of fields, and at this point in time, they are open and people can use them. We are just not assigning fields or reserving fields for anybody at this time, at least through July 6th.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Ann related to the recreation center? And I guess perhaps the recreation programs, Ann, if you, well, you're not, you haven't totally covered that yet, I suppose. But anything else related to the recreation center? And then Ann, if there's anything else you would like to cover regarding the recreation programs and special events.
Sure, I'll move into that now. So we are working on offering some modified programs, t-ball, tennis, playground program in July, where we'd probably be looking at a 4 to 6 week program. So we are in the process of that. We are also looking at bringing back our movies and concerts in the park in July. So we're evaluating how we will manage that, but we've got quite a capacity now based on the governor's directive I think it's up to 250 people. So we will continue to monitor that and look at providing special events and things like that in July and August. Our park facilities, we are going to be for rentals such as the Lions Pavilion. We are going to be opening that up for reservations the week of July 6th. Right now, based on the governor's guidelines, we are allowing up to 40 people inside the pavilion. And then obviously the parks are open and outdoor space can accommodate more. So, but we're moving forward with that. And then again, the special events we'll be looking at implementing as well in July.
Any comments or questions for Ann? Thank you, Ann, for going through all of these things with us. The next item is new business, and it's regarding approval of a Deer Run tennis court reconstruction, and that's a recommended action item. And I did get a chance to take a look at the tennis courts this weekend, and maybe some of you did as well. And so, Ann, do you want to go ahead with that?
Sure, I'm happy to. So we'll just start out with a little history. These courts are nearly, if not 40 plus years of age, this court. It was built back in the early 80s, probably 80, 81, with the neighborhood. So we were hoping to be able to get one more year, at least a year out of it with another coating resurfacing project. But after the winter, we went out and took a look at it, and it really has deteriorated beyond, putting a Band-Aid on it. So I was able to get a couple quotes for basically redoing the entire court. I'll just show you a couple pictures. So the tennis nets those have popped out completely. The concrete has popped. A lot of the fencing, if you've looked at any of that, you know, a lot of them are in pretty tough shape. We have multiple cracks that are anywhere from 2 to 3 inches wide throughout the court itself. And then you'll see the deterioration of the surfacing. So I did get 2 quotes for a complete redo. Basically, we're looking at removing and replacing the fencing. We will take out all the blacktop, add some gravel to the site, and roll it to flatten it, install additional blacktop on top of the new gravel. And then the unfortunate part is that the blacktop has to cure for about 28 days before they can come on back in and put the coating on it, the green coating with the lines. So we're looking at about a 5 to 6 week program in order to replace all of the entire court here. So since it wasn't a budgeted item, I am making a recommendation to the Park and Rec Committee this evening to utilize funds for a playground replacement that was scheduled in Swift Mountain. It's roughly, we spend about $50,000 a year on playground replacement. And considering that I think that this becomes a higher priority for repair, the playground can still stay up for another year. So we just moved that out for replacement next year. So the 2 quotes that came in, the low quote was from Tennis West for $38,930, and he was the low quote on this. He has worked and done courts within the city at Holy Family and also throughout the metro. So I'm confident in his ability to complete this project in a timely manner. So I do have a recommendation to move forward with this, and I am happy to take any questions related to the tennis court reconstruction.
This is Larry. I have a question. Has that tennis court historically received a lot of use?
So I had, and I don't know if anybody was around at the time, we looked at redoing this court a number of years ago, taking it out of service and putting in other things. And I had met with the neighborhood, and they really wanted to keep this tennis court. And I have gotten quite a few phone calls from neighbors, and I believe also Council Black, who lives in the neighborhood, has also gotten a lot of phone calls from residents about the tennis court and its condition. So there is certainly neighborhood support for it.
Okay, thank you.
This is Claudio. And is the fence going to be put back up?
We are installing new fence.
And is there, in this redo, is there pickleball in this court's future?
There is not pickleball in this court's future.
Thank you.
This is Jeanette June. Yeah, that was going to be my question. But if nobody's asking for it, asking for pickleball, then I would just say then if tennis court's what they want and would like it, then let's go for it.
This is Larry. Wasn't that in one of the quotes? I thought I read that the painting, they were going to paint that in one pickleball court in a different color.
Yes, that was provided in the quote, but the quote. But I wouldn't be recommending it because the neighbors are super. As you can see, the neighbors are super close. It only would provide one court, and also when you look at the fencing, and Jeanette might want to chip in here too. There's there's only fencing on about 3/4 of it, so I'm not sure what the pickleballers, if they would use it or not.
Yeah, I noticed that as well on the bid, and definitely was hoping that Jeanette, you might, you're kind of our pickleball expert, that you would weigh in on it, because it certainly is very popular.
Yeah, pickleball is very much a social, they like at least have 2 courts. I mean, in time of COVID, it's not as social as we would like, but typically you would look for at least 2 courts. So, yeah, I would just to move this forward, I move that, and you need a motion to go ahead with the tennis courts?
Well, I have
Okay.
another question. This is Amber Hutner. Has anybody talked with any residents with Swiss Mountain who are expecting to get a playground this year? Has there been any, fielded any phone calls on that?
I have not, and I have not had, generally what I do is I will have a neighborhood meeting with them, and I have not had, didn't have the opportunity to do it because this project sort of rose to the top. So I would plan to do that next year.
This is John. I went and took a look at Swiss Mountain. We've seen it before as a group, or a number of us. It's definitely serviceable. 1 year, it's not a disaster. It's fine. If it happens, it's kind of arbitrary what year it might happen. This tennis court, and I know I've seen it before, but it was almost embarrassing when I saw it. I thought, oh my gosh, we got to do something about that. So I'm glad that, Ann, it got brought up. And that also, if we've had people give feedback, that's good. My concern on it would be that we really try and encourage use of this, because it's not just a neighborhood playground, and that we maybe use this opportunity, if we were to approve this, that we use it as an opportunity to do some messaging and promotion as a city that, well, we've got all these tennis courts at Holy Family that are part of the cities. We've got tennis courts, I think, at Behind Park. Is that where it is?
No, we have it at Lions.
Oh, Lions Park. I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. And we've got this wonderful new court, and we really need to promote it to get our money's worth. And what alternative would we have to? I mean, is there an alternative activity that could be put in there besides tennis courts?
I do know that the kids use it for skateboarding, and I suspect they use it also for, I don't want to say hockey, but I'm sure that they do, because they utilize the other court, and that's pretty small for their hockey stuff. But I do know the kids do use it for skateboarding. So.
How about a basketball hoop? I know that would interfere with tennis, but that idea of alternative use, and you mentioned kids.
There is a basketball court on the facility as well. So, Ann, I'm sorry, you were going to comment.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that it's on another court right next. Basically, right next door to the tennis.
Yeah, this is kind of my first rodeo with the Parks and Recs, and I'm sitting here listening, and like Poppets Field, I said, oh, I don't even know where that's at. I do, but I had to look it up. That idea of is there anywhere that we have a listing of all facilities that are available? Because even like the 10. Go ahead.
Yep. Yes, it is. We have it on our website, on the city website. And I'm happy to walk you through it. If you want to give me a call tomorrow, I can show you and kind of run through that with you.
Okay, because that might be like John was saying,
little PR, next newsletter that goes out or whatever might be with everybody getting stir crazy, finding out that there's more places to visit would probably be helpful.
We can keep discussion going. It might be okay to get a motion on the table. And then we can see if there's any other discussion, but we can first, I guess, at this point, see if there's anyone that would like to make a motion. And I do have a question about whether the motion should include that we would, we would include the point that we would do Swiss Mountain next year, or Ann, is that really getting out of our scope because we're dealing with this year, not next year at this point?
Yes. Yeah. So we have our playground replacement program. And again, it's based on a number of things, age, condition, safety. We have 19 of the playgrounds. So we have them kind of plugged in based on the year that they were installed. And then we evaluate that every year. Because sometimes things happen and, a tree hits one during a storm that wasn't in the top playground replacement that year. So we may have to then go back and look and say, okay, we need to shuffle these around a little bit. So we will just bump this a year within that program. I don't necessarily think there needs to be a motion to that effect.
Okay, I do think we could at some point, I don't know if there's
This is Jeanette June. I move the Park and Rec Committee approve the quote from Tennis West in the amount of $38,930 for reconstruction of the Deer Run tennis courts.
Larry seconds that.
Okay, Jeanette June and Larry Scholes seconds. Jeanette June makes the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, we're going to go through the roll call. Since it's a formal motion, Judy Iverson? If you want to just say yay or nay if you were ready to vote, unless there's further discussion, which I don't hear any. Make sure to turn off your mute.
Iverson says yay.
Amber Hutner?
Amber Hutner, yay.
Mary Larson?
Mary Larson, yay.
Larry Scholes?
Larry Schultz, yes.
Claudio Rapetti?
Claudio Groppetti, yes.
Jeanette June?
Jeanette June, yes.
And John Carlson votes yes. So, and that is approved.
Very good.
Very, very good. And is there anything else on that topic or anything within that sphere you want to talk about or bring up?
Not with the tennis court. I was just going to bring up, but I guess that could be under other business, just some update related to items from the last meeting that went to the city council.
Yes, that would be great, Ann. And then also if the mayor would like to help contribute to that, that would be welcomed as well. Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, sure. So at the last council meeting, or the last Park and Rec Committee meeting, we had talked about the sale of the old well site up on Smithtown Road to be combined with some parkland, possibly to sell for another single family home site, and that moved forward. So that happened. I'm also going to share the screen, and I think that the mayor probably would be a good one also to talk about this. So the other piece of property that the council approved for sale with first offers going to the neighborhood was that little piece of park or little piece of property owned by Church Lake, which led to a larger discussion about Salters Park, which to try to orient you, this is 81st Street. This is the LRT trail. Kirklocken Park is over in this area. And then if you walk straight down the LRT, that takes you right into downtown. So with that, I'm happy for, Mr. Mayor, if you'd like to provide some context for this, because I think the Park and Rec Committee probably be looking at this in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Ann. Just a quick summary, we're selling, the council decided to sell, giving neighbors first shot, 3 of the 4 properties that were considered. The 4th property, which is where by the entrance to the Deer Run Golf Course, where the water tower used to sit, it's got a lot of footers, big footings and other things under the ground there. There was a very brief discussion. There'll be more discussion in the future in a meeting that's noticed about potentially using that as a city site for storing equipment that's in the old Public Works building. One of the comments I made in there was if we can get the buildings out of the old Public Works site, since we're going to convert that over to parking, if we can move the buildings, if it makes sense, it allows us to get more downtown parking. And so that's the concept. And the reason I bring that up first is that same concept came into play with this particular park. Ann, correct me if I'm wrong, but many years ago, didn't it have tennis courts here that were eventually taken out? Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I've looked at this park a number of times, and a year and a half ago or so, roughly, one of the things I suggested when there was discussion about parking is we consider, as a city, taking this park, converting it into parking, because we could easily connect, I think at least easily connect this land with a trail into the regional trail, which is just to the north of this property, and allow people to park here and then have an easy walk to get downtown for all sorts of events. And as part of that discussion, which again will be taken up at a later council meeting and something for the Park and Rec Committee to consider, is what would could we do that? Is it feasible? Does it make sense? There's another park that's just off the map that you're all looking at now, just off to the west. Ann, do you remember the name of that park? I know it, I just can't think of what it's called.
Kirklocken.
Kirklocken, thank you. If you were to actually, in this picture that you're looking at, if you look at the regional park and you were to just go, I don't know, maybe 500-600 yards, maybe a little bit more to the west, that's where the Kirklocken Park is. So this neighborhood has a park that's really close by. And if myself and Dana, and I encourage the other council members to go out and take a look at this park, I believe that we could easily create parking space there, and at the same time use some of the dirt, because it's kind of a mound. We could use that dirt to build a ramp to make it ADA compliant, to build a ramp down to the regional park system. And at the same time, just kind of eyeballing it, we think that we could build a buffer for the homes there to make sure we keep them separated and have them have a nice view. So basically the concept is maybe we could get another 40, 50, without engineering work, I'm just guessing here, but 40 or 50 parking spaces, a nice ADA compliant ramp to go down past the water treatment ponds, and actually connect into the regional trail system to get downtown. So kind of, if you will, another very cost-effective way to extend parking to downtown along with the old Public Works site. So the council didn't get into a lot of discussion because we were discussing properties for sale, but it came up as kind of that discussion. So look for, at some point in the future, we're going to get this scheduled and we'll talk about it again. And I'm sure the council would welcome anything to Park and Rec if you guys want to take that up in the next meeting and discuss it and provide your input. So, Ann, does that pretty well cover it?
Yes, I think so. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep. Anybody have any questions or comments that you'd like to share at this point? I know you haven't heard this before, but be curious if anybody has any initial thoughts.
So we're talking about selling Salters Park and having a neighborhood use Kirklochran Park. Is that, do I got that right?
No, we're not going to sell it. We would convert its use because the city already owns it.
Oh, okay, but it's Salters that we're going to convert, and the neighborhood could use Kirklochran.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep, and the neighborhood there, before we were to do anything, the neighborhood would be asked to contribute. So that, I mean, this came up as part of the conversation of selling the properties. And one of the reasons that even came up is part of selling the properties. We thought, well, does it make sense to move the park from here instead of selling the property that's just south and just off the edge of the map you're looking at? Instead of selling that property, is make that the park and then use this for parking. That's how this was all tied together and how we started talking about it. But the decision was made to sell the piece of property on the south, which then got into this other discussion that I just walked you through. So yeah, this is all city land. It doesn't cost us anything. All we have to do is do the engineering and earth moving and paving, which given the cost of this, if you look at the cost per parking spot, it's a very effective way to add parking with a short distance walk back to the city. And by the way, just so you know, we did look at the possibility of going directly east and going down 80th Street as far as easy access for people to come over behind like the Holiday gas station and connect into the sidewalks to get downtown. But there's no easy way to go directly east. So the shortest, quickest, easiest route without having to have people walk across roads or build crosswalks or create crossings between cars and people is literally building that ramp straight north. And there's a way to do it, it looks like, but it's building that ramp straight north where the pedestrians and anybody walking, you're not going to have to meet or cross over any paths with vehicles. So any other thoughts or questions?
This is Claudio. The idea I really like. How far is it from downtown? Like half a mile, quarter mile, mile?
I didn't measure it. I would guess it's at most a half mile. It's maybe a little bit less than that. And do you have any idea? I mean, if you know where the Holiday is, this is probably 150 yards west of the Holiday. So to give you an idea, so you'd have to maybe walk 100 yards north to get to the regional trail, and then it's maybe 200-300 yards to get to downtown.
Well, and it's on the south side of 5?
Correct. It's on the south side. You would join the regional trail just west of the bridge that goes over the regional trail on Highway 5.
Okay. Yeah. So
that's the connection point. You'd walk under the bridge, and then how far is it from the bridge down to, let's say, by the ice cream parlor?
That's no more than a half a mile because it's a mile from where I live. Going.
Okay, so we're probably talking roughly a quarter of a mile.
I think that's a great idea.
So
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, so since it was not on the agenda, we just talked about it, and then I asked Dana to put it on a future agenda so the public could see it coming and give them an opportunity to talk about it along with the neighbors before we take any further action. So at this point, it's just the idea and the concept.
Yeah, well, at this point, it's been an undeveloped park that we've had no active development concepts that we've talked about. I would say it's a low priority for any kind of park. And so that it's not a matter of we're taking something out. We're not taking out a playground or some other kind of recreational activity. So that would be a plus.
Yep, that's kind of what I thought too.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
I was just going to say, this is Judy Iverson. It sounds like it's a great place to park if you're biking, if you have bikes on a bike, the back of your car on a bike rack, and easy place to unload your bike and ride right downtown then.
Yeah, one of the concepts with the old Public Works building is we really want to put signage up to make what I refer to as trailhead parking, so that we get cars. I don't mind them parking downtown, but if they're coming here to drop off bikes and ride the trail for a few hours, I'd rather have them park at the old Public Works because they can get on the trail there just as easily. So that people that want to come down to town and shop or go to a restaurant, we've got more open parking in downtown, so to speak. So the same concept could apply here. We could mark this as trailhead parking. Not that we can't use it for other things, but to try to free up more downtown parking for the businesses down there.
Very good.
This is Jeanette June. I agree. I think it sounds like a good idea, or a nice creative idea for getting to the trails and opening up some parking for other usages. What I would suggest is, I don't know if we can get together, but remember, Ann, during the summer, we tried to go visit a park. And I don't know if sometime within the next month, if we can do that, go look at the site itself so that we're all clear on it. I know I certainly am willing to go by myself and go check it out, but I didn't know if we could do it as a group, if there are 10 of us or less.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think July likely would be a good time to do it, because I want to get people out to Wasserman as well. So our July meeting might be a good opportunity for that.
I think the only difference would be we wouldn't carpool, of course.
This is Jeanette. Great. Good idea. I look forward to that. Thanks, Ann.
Well, Ann, thank you for bringing that up, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for talking about it. And obviously, this isn't time for formal motion, but you certainly got a informal sense of the group.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
And thank you for the other update as well regarding the Smithtown property. And is there anything else under other business?
I do not have anything at this time.
Does anyone else have anything under other business? With that, before we get to adjournment, just a reminder that our next scheduled meeting is on Monday, July 20th at 6:30 p.m. And hopefully, possibly, we might be able to meet in the council chambers, city council chambers, but we will see. But it would be nice to not have to be by phone. We'll see how that goes. I do want to thank everybody for everyone on the committee for attending this meeting and last meeting. We've had a full house, as it were, and that's great. It adds to the meeting to have everybody be present and participating. So with that, I take a motion for adjournment. If you could state your name, please.
This is Judy Iverson. I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Judy. Is there a second?
Larry Schultz, second.
Larry, seconds. Thank you. All those in favor say yay.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, we are adjourned, and thank you, everybody.